Greetings, I'm your host Rabin Nickens and welcome to Cultural Caravan TV. We are here at the 10th anniversary celebration of Black Public Media's Afropop, the Ultimate Cultural Exchange, which is a documentary series featuring the lives, culture, and experiences of people of African descent across the diaspora. We are pleased to be joined by Executive Director of Black Public Media, Ms. Leslie Fields-Cruz. Welcome to the Cultural Caravan.
Thank you, thank you.
Tell us a little bit more about Black Public Media. We know that you put on Afropop, but tell us a little bit more about your organization and what you do.
We are actually a 39-year-old organization. We were formerly known as the National Black Programming Consortium, and we have been funding and distributing stories about the Black experience, global experience, since 1979 to PBS, public television.
What made you start it? Some people would say, well, you know, there's plenty of, media companies out there. What distinguishes Black Public Media from other media companies?
Well, I think back in 1979, there really wasn't an organization like Black Public Media around, and it was really the brainchild of a number of Black producers who were working at public television stations, and they were frustrated that some of their story ideas weren't getting developed, and when they did get developed, they weren't being shown nationally, and so they all got together and they said, you know, what, we need to form our own organization. Let's get some funding from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting that we can then put into the development of films and the support and training of Black filmmakers, and then we're going to distribute it on PBS. And that's really how the organization got started, by a number of industrious Black filmmakers who were like, we got to do this on our own because we can't wait for other people to do it for us.
Yes, doing it for ourselves, absolutely. So this year marks the 10th anniversary of Afropop, the Ultimate Cultural Exchange, your documentary series that features the experiences of people of African descent across the diaspora. So of all the things that Black Public Media does, what was the inspiration for this particular series?
It's an interesting story because we, spent a lot of time distributing content and working with other public television series like Independent Lens and POV. And in 2008, early 2008, I had about 6 films that I couldn't find distribution for. And the nature of public television, it would have been that I'd have to put them out individually. We'd have to find ways to promote them, go into different markets and promote them. And I just was like, this is so frustrating. So I went to our former executive director, Jackie Jones, who was an innovator and a risk taker. And I said, well, we should just have our own series. And she said, yeah, why not? And it just took off from there. And we were so excited because the series allowed us to bring in the diversity of the global Black experience. Oftentimes, I think in other types of programs, they focus a lot on the pain and suffering of Black people. And we just know that's not what we're all about. And so the series has allowed us to identify stories from throughout the diaspora. I think in this season alone, we actually had a piece about Black Panthers in Australia by the Aborigines. And a lot of people may not connect them to the African diaspora, but they are very much a part of the African diaspora. And so Afropop has allowed us to bring those types of stories to American audiences.
What advice would you give to people who are interested in really doing more independent work in terms of producing film, in terms of maybe even producing series or even collaborating together with other filmmakers as you've done, particularly because you've mentioned some of the challenges. So what advice would you give to some that are looking to embark on that sort of endeavor themselves?
well, persistence for anyone who's working in independent film and doing an independent documentary. A lot of the filmmakers that I've worked with over the years are very persistent. They have a sharp vision of their story and what they want to tell. And then really, if you're coming into the game, if you're just out of school, or even if you haven't gone to regular film school, there are other independents who are experienced that are looking for support. You can be a production assistant and learn the craft that way. Ask a lot of questions. You can come to blackpublicmedia.org to our site. We sometimes post webinars that we do for our filmmakers, and they're free. They're on our YouTube channel. We work with other organizations like Third World Newsreel to host workshops and seminars on production. And then really it's just being creative and sticking with it. You know, filmmaking is a very, very difficult business, but persistence really tends to win out at the end. And I think that's what happened with Afropop. The organization had been around and it was just time. And I said, you know, and for me it was a dream because I always wanted to have a series. So I just kept trying it until someone said, well, until it was the right environment. And Jackie Jones was like, let's do it.
And a dream realized that we're all benefiting from. Thank you so much for your contributions to media as well as informing us all. Thank you so much for being part of the Cultural Caravan today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We are here joined by Shala Lynch, filmmaker here at the 10th anniversary of Afropop, the ultimate cultural exchange. Welcome to Cultural Caravan TV.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
You have made such powerful work, particularly in regards to the lives of strong black women such as Angela Davis, Shirley Chisholm. What is the significance of Afropop to you, considering your body of work?
Sure. I would say the significance is black public media. Close up, close up. They really support black independent filmmakers early on in their career. If they had not supported me for my first film on Shirley Chisholm and her run for president in 1972, I wouldn't be standing here today. And so their ability to invest in you as a maker and a creative is invaluable.
What would you say is the thing that you triumphed over the most in terms of your filmmaking? Because it sounds like there were some challenges, you know, that any filmmaker experiences with finances, what have you, but what do you think is your greatest accomplishment?
Perseverance. You know, if you have an idea and you really believe in it, you're going to make it happen. So it took 5 years to make Chisholm 72, 8 years to make Free Angela, and that's the kind of commitment that it takes. So figure out your life so you can keep being creative.
Upcoming projects that we should look forward to?
Not yet ready to reveal, but always. But I'd also like to say that I run the film division at the Schomburg Center. Come visit us. We're newly renovated and the collections are outstanding.
Yes, we're looking forward to going. Thank you so much, Shala Lynch. Thank you. Yes, we're joined by multi-talented actor and star of OWN's Queen Sugar, actor Nick Ashe. Welcome to the Cultural Caravan.
Everybody? Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Thank you.
I was just saying your outfit looks great.
Oh, thank you.
I'm loving this
thank
look.
you so much.
Yeah.
Well, I had to keep up with such an illustrious actor as you, who's brought such a powerful character, Michael West, to the screen. Even though he's young, he's dealt with some incredibly strong issues that have made him very vulnerable. In a show that's so much about, or seems so much about, the Black American experience, what does it mean to you to be the host of the 10th anniversary of Afropop, which speaks to more of the global Black experience?
Yeah, it's been interesting. You know, Afropop prides itself in being the ultimate cultural exchange. And this season we got to travel across the world, and we learned that the Black experience is a shared experience. And it's a human experience. So people watching these stories, regardless of where it is that they come from, can connect to these struggles, you know? So that was interesting for me because as Americans, we have such a specific vantage point, but to see other people's struggles, there was something gratifying about that, or I just felt connected on a more spiritual level to people who look like me.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And you know, I was thinking about some of the things that has been said about your role in terms of just the way in which you bring voice to young people. What do you think young people can get out of Afropop? You know, not every young person is in tune with documentaries. They might be more in tune with your show, with Queen Sugar, or other things of that nature. So what do you think young people or the demographic that you appeal to, although you're much older than your character, what do you think they can get out of it?
It's tricky, you know, on Queen Sugar, we're telling stories about people that look like us. All these people are real people, whether they share those names, but definitely those experiences of being in the South and being faced with racism as casual as walking into a restaurant and as intense as being involved in like the criminal system. Those are real stories, and it feels like a documentary style investigation of those people. So my advice to the young people watching these stories would be to know that their stories are merited, that their struggles are real, but also that their love and that their art are validated too through these stories. We have, I think, a 10-year-old Kojo. He was one of the short stories that we presented through Afropop. And he's out here making art, you know, making jazz, using drums and everything. That's so inspirational. I started, you know, when I was younger. So I guess my advice would be that it's never too young to start finding your voice, to start creating art, to start adding your voice to the political conversation. You know, we are the future scientists, doctors, leaders, so finding our voice as soon as we can is best.
And my understanding is you're actually helping out some of the younger generation through a project of your own, a scholarship. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
This will be the fourth year, 2018. I run a scholarship program on Long Island called the STEAM Train Scholarship.
Okay.
And again, reinforcing what I was just saying, it creates a financial scholarship for a student looking to pursue the arts in their post-secondary education. So how we raise the money is I get a bunch of friends together, artist friends, people I've worked with and admire, people that I went to high school with, and we put on a show. And with the money that we raise for that, we create a scholarship. So every penny from that performance that we put on allows the student to go study voice. We have students who go on to study acting at NYU. And this is only the fourth year, but I'm looking to do this the rest of my life and make it bigger and better. Get Oprah involved, have Ava come through and make this something bigger than me.
Yes, and so many would benefit. Is there anything that our audience could do to support?
Come to the shows. I guess I got to get better at promoting it. It's just a very small thing that happens on Long Island, but what would be most helpful is if these people hearing this interview at home could advocate for the youth in their community. You know, I'm just helping one student every year, but if everyone had the resources to pull something together for people who don't think that their dreams are valid via the arts, that would be the most beneficial thing. I remember when I was in high school, I was encouraged to pursue a more traditional path. You know, like, oh, I know you like to act, I know you like to sing, but like, what are you really gonna do? If we can cut that conversation out, that'd be most helpful. You know, there's merit in doing what you love and doing it well, and the dream will always respond to you if you're obedient enough to it.
Powerful words,
Yeah.
powerful actor.
Yeah,
thank you
you
so much. I'm sure everybody's going to be inspired by that.
Yeah.
We look forward to all of your next projects.
Yeah, I do too.
Yes. Thank you for joining
Thank you
the
again.
Cultural Caravan.
Yeah, big love. Thank you.
Oh! Dis, mais t'as chez nous, non? C'est tremblement de terre, oui? Après monde, pas oublier, te gen monde qui te mouri à peine mouri, tout jour c'est aller à chercher. C'est tous les premiers des premiers jours. C'était terrible.
Le monde se mobilise pour Haïti.
Les appels aux dons se multiplient, on le sait, les Français se montrent généreux.
La ligne entre ingérence, appui et support est très fine.
Haïti est toujours victime du préjugé qu'on a contre elle. Pays dangereux.
The international community said they were going to grant so many billions of dollars to Haiti. That didn't mean we were going to send so many billions of dollars to a bank account and let the Haitian government do with it as they will.
Yes, we are joined here by Oscar-nominated producer of the film Fatal Assistance, Hebert Peck. Welcome to the Cultural Caravan.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. You and your brother Raul have produced some of the most compelling films about the people of the African diaspora in the past few years, whether it's I Am Not Your Negro, Fatal Assistance, which is being screened tonight, is the finale of Afropop. What is the significance of actually screening it here at Afropop in this 10th anniversary?
Well, first of all, Afropop has always been a supporter of us, and Afropop is an important venue for Black filmmakers. And public television, especially, is a venue where work can be seen in a way that the type of work we create is that's the best place to show it, because you have an audience who's interested, intelligent, and who is interested in hearing the other side.
Yes, yes, and a wonderful way to wrap up this series as well, particularly because it comes at a time when we're hearing so many things from our government that are not always positive about some countries within our diaspora. Fatal Assistance particularly addresses the situation in Haiti after the 2010 earthquake. Is there something that you would say from the film is the highlights that you want people to come away with from Fatal Assistance? Because there were so many people that were engaged with trying to support, yet the film kind of speaks to the other side of what happened, the not so positive side with the so-called assistance.
Well, with the way our world is changing in terms of some of the, with climate change, first of all, we're beginning to experience a lot of different bad hurricanes that are worse than before, experiencing situations like floodings that are in urban areas that weren't like that before. And so we're becoming more and more affected by natural disasters, whether it's lack of too much water or not enough water. And so as human beings, we always want to help. And the best way we've known to help is to, since we can't be there, is maybe to give whatever we have, whether it's money, things, to help people, the survivors. And often we think that's, that our action, actually the end result is really helping someone. But from our experience, that is not always the case. And so for us, this movie was an attempt to show what happens behind closed doors. What happened behind closed doors with the folks or the organizations who are involved in between us, the donors, and the recipients. And so if, with this film, we can get people to be more attentive to the process, to what potentially happens to the funds they give, to pay attention to the process, because often that process is laden with political bents. It's laden with issues around a profit, where you would think in an environment where you're aiding folks that profit shouldn't be part of the equation, but it does happen. And so that often the people, the local folks who would benefit from our largesse and from what we give from our hearts, may not see that largesse. Or if they see it, it's really filtered in such a way that they don't always get what they actually need to survive or need to help them rebuild. So this was a film about Haiti, but it could have applied to Sandy. It could have applied to especially what's going on now with Puerto Rico.
And it's interesting that you should mention some of the other places within the diaspora. Of course, we know there's people of African descent as well in Puerto Rico. It makes me think about you and your brother's experience being born in Haiti, but not necessarily raised in Haiti. I understand, of course, that you had experience both growing up on the African continent, some time in Europe, as well as in the U.S. So in terms of like coming back to Haiti as a topic for a film, like what does this mean to you and perhaps you and your brother personally, this film?
Well, when the earthquake happened, Raoul was also, at the time, Raoul had served in the Haitian government as a prime minister of culture, minister of culture, and had resigned because of many issues. And was in France at the time, and was getting all these calls from folks in Haiti. We were all getting calls from whoever could call us, or even people, journalists who wanted to know if he had some insight of what was going on. And within a few hours, he tried to find a way to get to Haiti. And it took him 5 days to be able to get there. He was able to get through with a military plane from France to Haiti. When he got there, it was an unbelievable sight and experience. And so he tried to see how he could help however he could, because he knew folks, and he tried to see if he could go and help support them. But the infrastructure that would be in any country would organize to, how would you say, to help in a disaster situation, that infrastructure went down. You know, this happened around 5 o'clock in the evening when people were just about to leave work, and right downtown. So all of these buildings collapsed with people inside. So the government itself had no means of communicating with the population. And within a few minutes, close to 300,000 people died instantly. So, and then you had about 1.5 million displaced. And not to even talk about the people who were injured. So, that's even before anyone else came from the outside to help. The Haitians, the local Haitians, were the ones who were trying to get people out from under the rubbles, and sometimes with their bare hands,
Right.
because the infrastructure is fragile, and so. But at the same time, when the first responders came from all the countries, that's one thing that's different, because those folks, that's all they do. They're there to try to rescue. They're there to, they have the equipment, they have the know-how to do as much as they can. And then usually that, once they're done and they can't see any other help they can provide, they move out. And then comes the folks who provide sort of the other aid that we're talking about. And so by that time, Raoul began to see that what you typically do in this situation, if you're in an international aid organization, or even someone who's already put in, is that you try to make sure you understand what the local population needs, because they're there, they know what they need, they're the ones who are experiencing this, so pretty much you know what you need and what needs to be done.
Yeah, they need to have a voice.
And even the organizations themselves have guidelines in terms of what they're supposed to do or not do, because they've been doing this for over 60 years. So they've They know what is correct to do and what is not correct. So they do not, at that point, do no harm. And they do not really consult with the locals. So then that becomes sometimes a very dangerous thing.
And it would seem that your film is a vehicle to actually give voice to those that were voiceless in that situation.
Yes.
Because all we hear from are the big international organizations, you know, that advertise, and, you know, we give our money and we're trying to do the best we can, but I'm sure this is going to enlighten many people about what's really going on. Before we close, again, there's so much that you've done in terms of film as well as supporting other filmmakers, independent filmmakers as well. What is up next that you'd like to tell us about in terms of your projects?
I don't know that I can tell you a lot.
Oh, just a little bit?
But there are things in the works that Raul is planning, which are really going to be quite fantastic. Because no matter what Raul does, he always does work that most people don't want to touch, but that have impact over many years. They're not trendy topics. They're topics that even Fatal Assistance, for instance, was produced in 2013. And of course, we're seeing things that are happening in the world that it relates to really well. And so a lot of his work is like that. So the next few projects are going to be feature films.
Okay.
And but I can't tell you more.
Okay, and with
but
that,
please watch.
yes, we will. We'll pay attention. Hopefully, we'll get little tidbits, maybe from social media or what have you. Hebert Peck, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Cultural Caravan.
Thank you for inviting me.
So we hope you've enjoyed this broadcast of Cultural Caravan TV here at the 10th anniversary of Afropop. Join us next time.